So welcome everyone to this special webinar hosted by the Pivot Project with the grandmothers from Indigenous people. And we're very, very honored to have three beautiful grandmothers from different parts of the world. Today we have Grandmother Renee of the Mohawk Nation Turtle Clan from the Six Nations of the Grand River Territory, Ontario. Then we have Grandmother Raina Atareta Ferris of the Māori Ngāti Kahungunu iwi of Aotearoa and the creator of the Kurawaka Retreat Centre. And then we have Grandmother Susan Kaiulani Stanton, who is both Mohawk and native Hawaiian, and is the founder of the senior grandmother of the Grandmother Circle. The grandmothers are here today with us to share the words, the wisdom, their ancestors' wisdom and words as well, who they carry forward for us and for the future generation. And they would share with us their heart, because that is the most important thing they have, and we all value it. So I give the word to Grandmother Renee, who will start with a beautiful prayer that usually brings tears to my eyes. Grandmother Renee.
Greetings, Sego, Sewa Kwego, Ganadisa Youngets. I will begin by acknowledging the most important ones in our lives, all our life givers. And so I will do a short version. De tino lada ni nisnaha yon honzari. De tino lada hofne rasoma. De tino lada jon hekwa. De tino lada kai sa. De tino lada garunda son tano guerrero son. De tino lada otsi no sa. De tino lada ganyandero. De tino lada sikadnigora. De tino lada yeti soteratueris. De tino lada kayeli ni walage. De tino lada ne sonkotsia de kanika lakwa. De tino lada ne yonke sote sotikalakwa. De tino lada ne o just a garani. De tino lada ne sokoyandiso. I get very emotional when I give gratitude to all of them. This is our original instructions. To us, we would not be here if it were not for them. And so this is why we always do that. We always acknowledge all the life givers from our mother, the earth. And this sometimes takes well over an hour, almost 2 hours of giving thanks. And right now we're doing ceremonies. We're honoring the strawberries that has come to bring us the renewal of life. I am very honored to be here. I belong to the words of peace because it's ingrained in us, because the Gana Legoa, the great message of peace. A long time ago, we were troubled just like you. All the people were lost for their instructions. So the peacemaker came and he gave us the tools to help us to stay in that good place. And so I'm very grateful to Sampoy Adiso for giving us those tools. These tools help us to be that whole at peace. And so I'm here today to share that power of peace. I come to you with my understanding. There are many people out there that have dark hearts that are grieving. And over here we have the ones with the white heart. The white heart means that love and that kindness and goodness. And we knew there would be people that would come that would have heaviness in their hearts and in their minds and in their spirit. And so the Creator gave us the gift, those words, kind words and of kindness and goodness. But He also gave us tools to remind us on how to walk in a good way. And so one of the first ones was this, the two-row wampum. When the first visitors came, we asked with our hearts. We ask them to put their hands on it and to share their support. You see, it wasn't just for our people, it was for all the people in all creation. And so you have the 2 rows. It represents our Indigenous people, and it represents the visitors that was to come. And you see the 3 white rows, it was to honor land, air, and water. And so we ask that you would make this commitment. You see, the treaty is for all people, so that no child would ever suffer. No child. Today, there's a lot of children suffering and a lot of adults, a lot of people suffering because they lost that truth within them. They have forgotten how to honor the land. And so today we're doing ceremonies. We're honoring that land. We're honoring all the life givers that are here. And so we honor the air. And the air is our words that we speak. And so we will have songs and we will have words that will complement all these things and to show that all creation, that we are very grateful that we are here. We have these ceremonies to acknowledge them. And it is said that the people will have forgotten, but it is up to us that have a very important role, because the people have forgotten. Things will turn in a way that will be unhealthy. And so it will cause much chaos. There will be much destruction of the land, the air, and the water. And so when we speak, we make that water that flows from within us, so that all people will be reconnected to the land, the air, and the water. This is why there's much sickness. This is why there is many disease. They have many labels for it today. They call it mental illness. They call it many things. But to us, it's because the people have forgotten their relationship to the land. They've forgotten their relationship to Grandmother Moon. They don't understand their feelings. But the most important thing is Grandmother, she comes 4 times because the people hold so much grief in their hearts. This is why there's wars. And so I come to you with much peace and love for you. The love of creation. Because when I say those words, I am filled with much love. And that is spirituality. And that is a powerful gift. The gift of hope, the gift of peace, the gift of everlasting continuation. It's a gift of that fire that each of us have. And so we must take care of the people, the fire, but first we must look after ourselves. And so as a grandmother, we are given many dreams. This is how we record our messages by our belts. And I will share a belt that came to me for the people. It's a grandmother's belt. I have it. This is the way it's supposed to be. It came through the years, a piece of it. And now I understand. The grandmothers are saying, yeah, no more. No more abusing yourself. No more abusing your spirit. All of us are born in truth. Every one of us. And when we don't speak truth, and when we don't express truth, this is what causes much unhealthiness in us. Because we're all sacred beings. This is how we are taught. We are all sacred beings. And you know, a lot of my people did not know this because this was all taken away from them. But I was groomed by my grandparents. You see, both my grandmothers were residential schools, but they married into families that had the knowledge of our our words, our songs, our ceremonies. And so it is said that the people will come. They will become awake because in 1969, the eagle had landed. And it says there will be great change. The people will now start to open up. That's when we had that hippie power because they believed in love. And so it's by all the ceremonies that our people have been doing that we can gather together like this. We can share those words again by carrying the message of the Ganaligoa, the great message of peace. We have in our community been we are the largest community, Indigenous community in Canada. And at that time when this pandemic touched our communities, we were very lucky because we have our ceremonies. Right away, our leaders got together and they did ceremonies for the protection of our community and for the protection. And so this is what has been said. We must get ready again. This is what the grandmothers are, that's what that belt's all about. We must get ready again, the grandmothers, because now we will have to get the people to pull up their socks, as they would say. Grandma says, pick up your socks. You have inside you the most precious gift. Stop abusing yourself. Grandmothers are saying, don't be killing your children. And how are we doing that? By the land, the air, and the water. We are allowing things that should not be. We are allowing lies because we see the truth, what is happening to our land, the air, and the water. Grandmother said she was going to speak very loud, and she did. She reminded us that the earth needs healing. And so we are here to share that message. Each one of us has a gift of unconditional love. Each of us are here to share what is needed to lift your spirit, to bring that place of troubleness, and especially in this time. You are going what we would call a passage rite. When you were a young person, you would have to learn how to go without. You would be set up so that you would learn how to get deep within yourself, to learn all about yourself. How to get rid of the fears, because you see, man created fears. The Creator didn't. He gave us all the helpers all around us. And so what you are doing is you're going through a passage rite, learning how to be in peace with yourself. We have to learn how to gain back our instructions. And one of them is patience. There's always a duality in life. And everything that we are given, we are to make it right, to change it and make it right. As they say, my grandma would say, if that door shuts, it's for a reason. And today, people like to control things. We are no longer like the long grass, to be flexible and to wait and to see the end results. We want instant, and it's sad that because of this, we're going to have shorter lives. That's what the grandmothers are saying. And they mean we have shortened our lives by having anger in our hearts, anger in our minds. We let negative, as they call it today, negativities. We call it you have a good mind, and you will be blessed with peace, power, and righteousness. Righteousness is knowing truth, because that's who all of us are. We are very fortunate. And I will finish with this, using my hand. You see, this is how I explain. We have our thumb, And this thumb, we cannot, it is needed to do anything. If we didn't have that thumb, we would have a hard time in life to do things. And so this to us represents the one who is our higher power, whatever you may call. These are the 4 colors of the world: red, yellow, black, and white. And each of them have different languages. Like in the Indigenous people, there's many languages: Mohawk, Oneida, Cree, Oji Cree, Navajo, Sioux. There's so many different languages of just the Indigenous people. Just think of all the languages that are in all the 4 colors. And see, this is our instruction. We all are to have P-E-A-C-E, peace. So however we refer to our higher power is okay. So there should not be any wars, because every one of us has been given our original instructions to uphold and to know peace. So I say, thank you for giving me this opportunity. And in my language, I would say, Guadalumpqua. This feeling that I have, I wrap around each and every one of you till we meet again and till we talk again. And so this love, I wrap around you like a shawl, so that wherever you go, you know that you have the most powerful gift. And that is someone cares, and someone is us as original beings. This is what we are taught in our language. In our language, we are known as original beings. And so we're learning how to be human beings again. So welcome, humanness. I love it when we learn how to be good human beings again. Thank you. Nyawa.
Thank you, Grandmother Renee. We're very blessed by your prayer, your wisdom, but most of all, your love and your show of love. And I would be cocooned by it, I know, for the rest of my life. So thank you.
Thank you.
And now, Grandmother Raina from Aotearoa, who has woke up very early just to be with us, because it's like 5:30 in the morning, Monday, in her beautiful country. Grandmother Raina, is I'll pass you the talking stick. Thank you so much.
Kia ora, Paola. Ka timata ahau ki tētahi whakatauki. He hara taku toa I te toa takitahi, engari taku toa he toa takitini e. Kua tae ki te wā ki te tū kotahi, ki te whai te oranga mo te ao. Ka tuku me hiki a papatua nuku ki a rangi nui ki a raua e. Tēnā koutou kua mātaki mai tēnei hui ngā. Kia whai I te aratika kai mua I a tātou e. Morena. Atamarie, good morning. Greetings to you this morning. The sky is black outside, but the heart is warm inside. Tēnā koe, Grandmother Renee, Grandmother Susan. As I listened to your words, Grandmother Renee, bells were going on, ding, 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 ding. And as I prepared for this gathering, the question was, what theme am I going to talk about? And all of these different themes kept popping into my mind. And as I listened to you, Grandmother Renee, you touched on a few, which is great. It means we're all in good synchronicity around the globe. But this is my third Zoom this week where there's been a theme come through to talk about, and it has been about rites of passage. So you touched on that, and I like to work with drawing from the packs of cards to help keep one focused, because the breadth and the depth of the scope of conversation is so huge and deep. It's easy to get lost. So I'm going to talk about life's purpose. So rites of passage are about to help you to find your life's purpose. And just a few nights ago, I spoke about rites of passage for our youth, to help our youth work through puberty, moving into young adulthood, and then on into parenthood, which is the critical phases in life to ensure that the future of humanity is a wise one, making wise decisions, because we're in such turmoil at the moment. We're in such chaos at the moment with families, with leadership throughout the globe. We're really in an unbalanced state of being as human beings, as creators of future generations, and as caretakers of the planet. So I am in divine alignment and living my life's purpose. And it's about knowing your destiny in life. And I believe that I was born awake. Some of us are born awake and some of us manage to stay awake, but the majority of us get shut down and we lose our focus in life. But I believe that through divine intervention, I've had points in my life where I've managed to stay on track, which has led me to my purpose at this time in running spiritual programs for not only my people, but for all people. Actually, I've influenced women around the world, whereas I thought it was for Māori women of Aotearoa. So I come from a little place called Aotearoa, and when Captain Cook arrived here to claim he discovered New Zealand, he called it New Zealand, but we call it Aotearoa, the land of the long white cloud, because we're so far south that the clouds congregate above these two islands, and the clouds were what our ancestors saw as they got closer to the land. And they said, Aotearoa, look at the long white cloud. So we call it Aotearoa. But finding your purpose in life. And I think by the time we reach grandmotherhood, we should have found it. And not all of us have, because we're so busy taking care of our children and their children. So I always grew up with this proverb that said, the hand that rocks the cradle is the hand that rules the world. You heard that one? The hand that rocks the cradle is the hand that rules the world. And that's a proverbial saying that honours the role of the grandmother, because the grandmother was the one that rocked the cradle. Today, the cradle is being rocked by strangers. And our children are put into care and to preschool centres. So the initial nurturing of that child has shifted, because the grandmothers now have to go to work to make money to pay the bills, or they're at home looking after the babies, because the parents are so stressed and caught up in all the not nice ways of the world. So the whole role of the grandmother has shifted. So I'm truly thankful for Susan and grandmother Renee, and for all the beautiful grandmothers around the world. We have the 13 Indigenous grandmothers. We have grandmother groups set up around the world that are working really hard to help bring balance back into our families, because it all begins with the family. And then it all begins with the grandchild, the mokopuna, we call it. We call a grandchild a mokopuna, because they have come from our puna, our spring, our descendants, from our wombs, our kurawaka. So they are super, super precious. Anyway, perfect timing. The time is perfect right now for you to think about, am I manifesting my true purpose in life? And our audience here today, even though I can only see 5 of you, I know there's more out there. And the reason for this gathering is to help bring some assistance towards bringing balance back to our beautiful planet. And there are so many components to balance that one wonders, where does one start? Well, it starts with you. It starts with the individual, finding my part in this cog and this wheel that's turning the globe. What's my spoke in the wheel? What's my contribution to the way the world ticks? Because we all work with the mother energy, whom we call Papa Tuanuku, is Mother Earth, and the masculine energy, which we call Rangi Nui, is Sky Father. And both those two elements need to be in harmony in order to create a safe environment for the planet to rotate, to do what she was designed to do. But those energies are right out of kilter. So what little role do I play as one individual in this 8 billion people on this one beautiful planet? It's really quite mind-boggling, but that's where we start. Start with yourself. It is our birthright to manifest our lives, and the time is now. And to Shulamit Morris, your part in today's program is fantastic. And Paola Bay, who we discovered the other night, we're both part Italian. So I'm part Italian, I'm part Scottish, and I'm part Māori. And it was a beautiful thing to discover that Paola is part Italian as well. You see, so the image behind Paola is a spider web. So we've connected on the web, and literally we're all connected on this huge web. And the impact that this can have in the future of humanity is, well, I don't know what the word is. It's quite profound. It's real. We can talk globally at the press of a button. And I do all of this mahi for my grandchildren. It's my daughter and 4 of my 17 grandchildren. And I believe that the key to a well and happy family is knowing who you are. You go, there's Piri Te Raina, there's Ohomairangi, Taikura, Maioha, and Manaia. They're all armed with their traditional tā moko. So us here in Aotearoa, I'll diverse off my kaupapa. Us Māori, we're the Māori nation from the bottom of the earth. The closest piece of land to us is the South Pole. So it gets pretty chilly down here in Australia. So us Māori people are no different to other Indigenous peoples around the world. We've been thoroughly colonized. Our culture has been stripped of many traditional ways that we do things. Our culture at the bottom of the statistics, or at the top, depends which way you look at it, for all sorts of horrendous contributions to family life. Our women folk are the most populated in the prisons. Our men we die earlier than the white people. All of those commonalities throughout Indigenous peoples is happening here. But us as Māori, we're fighting back. And images like this show the world that. And the women down in Aotearoa are reclaiming back the moko kauai, because it helps build our backbone. It helps us sit up straight. It helps us own our place in the world right now. So knowing what your destiny is, knowing why you came to Earth to have a human existence, is really critical. So that's my message today, is to do what you need to do to find out what your destiny is, and to ask yourself, what is it that I love to do? What brings joy to my heart? Is there fear or resistance around your life's purpose? So grandmother Renee spoke about fear. Are we driven by fear, or are we driven by love? Are we driven by the dollar, or are we driven by love? Those are good questions. Or are you waiting for something? What are you waiting for? To step into your power. Empowerment of the individual. And if you're fortunate enough to be of an Indigenous nation, then the culture holds the keys to empowerment. Okay, so we must hold fast to our cultural identity. Now, us here in Aotearoa, we were colonized in 1840, not long ago, actually. Other cultures were colonized hundreds of years ago. We've been colonized since 1840. And since then, we've been, well, we've had the same effects of every other Indigenous culture that has been colonised. But in my journey, following my intuition and my spiritual voice, I have learned that Māori come from a matriarchal origin. And that's what I teach. According to our ancestral stories, we were created at Kurawaka by all the gods and by Mother Earth. And the first human created in our view of the creation was woman. Now that one reclamation of identity is super powerful because it's the polar opposite to our Christian view of the world of creation. So my journey in this world at this time, my life's purpose is to retell these stories, because by retelling the stories, it re-empowers us as Māori women to stand in our power and to take control of our lives rather than letting someone else control our lives, be they education systems, be they abusive husbands, be they corrupt governments or distorted policies and procedures. You know, us as women need to take control of our destiny. Isn't that right, Susan? But anyway, so our world is calling out for the voice of the grandmother. And she's arrived. She's international, she's global. And in order to bring balance back to our beautiful planet, she needs to bring the soft element, because the masculine element is out of control. We're witnessing that right now, out of control. So tāne mā, men, listen to the woman, be she your co-worker standing by your side, be she your advisor, your spiritual advisor. Take heed and listen, because there is wisdom in her words, because she is more in tune with her destiny than what you think. It all begins with the mother energy. I can see Susan gazing into the screen. She's having an epiphany.
Grandmother Susan has a tech issue, but I think we will fix it because we want to hear her beautiful voice and wisdom. If Shulamit can, yeah, she's coming. So, Grandmother Raina, thank you so much for your sharing.
You're welcome.
We are with you. You are not alone as an Indigenous person, Indigenous grandmother. I feel it's now the time for grandmother in every community to rise up to the challenge, to guide all of us, and for women to fully step in their true feminine power. Yes. Because we also feel that maybe the masculine has been doing some messing around and needs to be taken by hand and show the way to go next. So thank you so much. Very blessed to have you here today with us. And now my most beloved grandmother Susan, my beautiful sister, who had just finished a Sundance, and she's most amazing to have done it. I don't know how many times. Grandmother Susan, please share your heart with us.
Mahalo nui. I'm going to begin with my name, Susan Kaiulani Stanton, born on the Ahupua of Punaluu on the island of Oahu in Hawaii. I am what some people call the lost child generation, where I was given up for adoption at birth. And
spent a significant number of years wandering, trying to find out who I am, where did I come from, and I think that I'm not alone in that. So as I speak today, if there's anything that I can say that can help anyone else on that journey, I would be so grateful to be able to do that. I want to, first of all, to begin by expressing my love to my sister grandmothers, grandmother Renee, Thomas Hill, who 20 years ago, in a circle, a healing circle at the Ontario Native Men's Wellness Conference, where I had hoped to find my mother and it didn't happen. And I was devastated and wandered into the healing circle and expressed my pain. And she said, no one in Indian country is without a mother. And she took me to be her daughter, which was very confusing because I never have figured out which one of us is older. And for these years, these 20 years, I have just adored her. And she has gifted me so many things, teachings, wisdom, and a knowledge of who I am. And so for that, I am totally grateful. My sister grandmother, Te Raina, I don't know if you can see this. This is my tamoko. And I went down to South Island in New Zealand. I had spent the night with the other grandmothers in North Island, in Auckland, and woke up in the morning seeing something on my arm, and I didn't know what it was. And for 3 days, it was there just under my skin, but I felt that it was coming up from inside my body. And I spoke to the grandmother, Ayla Paul, whose home I was in, and I asked her about it. And I asked her if it would be presumptuous of me or rude for me to have a tamoko because I'm not Polynesian, I told her. And with that, I was taken to South Island. Te Raina flew down. Her son gifted me this tamoko. It's the story of my mountain and my river and my children and my grandchildren. And the grandmothers were there with me, and this beautiful young Maori man held my hand because he didn't want me to suffer while it was happening. And it was just never suffering for a moment. And so then over this journey of 3 years, I have gotten my DNA and I have connected into everywhere because in high school, I moved up to Iroquois territory across the river from grandmother Renee. And I found my peace in Tonawanda and in Oswego when I would go up there. And not knowing that I had any connection there, I felt this peace in my soul. And growing up in Hawaii, always wishing I was Polynesian, but never feeling that I had the right to claim that. I even danced for years in the Polynesian Cultural Center in the Hawaiian Village. And it kind of felt like I was a spy in the house of love, because what am I really doing there? And then to find out on Christmas Day this year, thanks to my daughter's work, that my father is Hawaiian. And then Ancestry.com also threw in Samoan, Tongan, and 16% Japanese. So it's like, what else could there possibly be? I've gone from being nothing to everything. But the journey has not been overnight. So I'm 71 years old, and I finally have this connection. So in 2009, Grandmother Gail Whitlow and I, part of the Turtle Island Council with Grandmother Renee and Grandmother Elizabeth Babin and Grandmother Marcia Forrest and others, had the opportunity to spend the night at Mona Polaka's house. Now Mona, I must say, was not there. We were on the Salt River Reservation in her house without her. She was in Kansas. But Mona is with the 13 Indigenous grandmothers. And in that night at her house, Gail and I birthed the concept of Grandmother's Circle of the Earth. We had our first gathering right after that in New Mexico. And then the second one was in Hawaii on the Big Island with Ma'anta Tupuafu and the other grandmothers there. And it just went on and on and on. And we ended up, us little grandmothers, traveling to Poland, Denmark, Hungary, New Zealand, all over the world. We're all over the place now. And everywhere we went, we found more grandmothers. And it was really fun because grandmothers have no need to own each other or own anything for that matter, because we have so much to do. I think I spend more of my time cleaning out my cupboards than I do trying to get anything else new. And so that's what it's like with the grandmothers. We don't need to own each other. We stand beside each other in the circle. We share with each other. We laugh with each other. We cry with each other. We gift each other. And we do it all, as Raina said, for the mokopuna, for our grandchildren. So I want to just say one thing, that at the end of all of the gatherings that I ever do, no matter what country I'm in, I always remind the people that were there to visit, whether it's a retreat or a workshop or a seminar, I always tell them how grateful I am to be able to facilitate the bringing of Indigenous grandmothers from Turtle Island and Aotearoa and other places to their communities. But I remind them that as they were on the phone calling around for a grandmother, their own grandmother was sitting beside them saying, "Why don't you ask me?" Because we're all Indigenous. We're all Indigenous to Mother Earth. We all are tribal because we all came, as Raina said, from that first fire. We were all there at the original fire. We all sat beside each other. I think it was in a cave, because I think I see shadows from the flames up on the walls while we're talking. And that as we sit there and we talk, when the time came to leave, we picked up an ember and we walked outward into the world. And we became the different colors, as Grandmother Renee said, we became the different colors of man. But they're all still connected by the thumb, which is Great Spirit. We're all still one body. We're all still part of Creator. And that is the great mystery. And it isn't a mystery at all in the sense if we remember that we are God. We are Creator. And He wants us to come to that knowledge. He wants us to realize who we are so that then we can claim all of those things that we are, so that we can be that for our grandchildren and whisper to them, "You are sacred. You are holy. You come from the beginning of all things, and you will go on because there's never an end to anything." So it was brought up that I went to Sundance, and I'm going to drag Willie here. Come, Willie, say hello. Here's Willie. Willie came with me. Willie, my husband Brad is a Narragansett tribal member, and he is in the Quincy Veterans Home, and he can't travel with me anymore. So he took Willie to the reservation a year ago, where Willie was adopted in as his brother so he could become my babysitter. And I want to say how grateful I am to Willie, and also how much compassion I share with him for that. Because it's one thing when it's your wife, it's much worse when it's somebody else's wife. And he has to drag me around and listen to me whine and complain, and he's very strong, and he does that. Well, I had asked him to take me to Sundance because we needed to put some prayers down for someone. We really thought we were just going to be there for a minute, and we ended up dancing in the arbor, which is very powerful. To me, it's one of the most powerful ceremonies that we have. It's a 4-day ceremony with no food or no water, and you dance from morning until night. You dance and you pray, and you're dancing for the children, you're dancing for the people, you're dancing for yourself. It's a ceremony that has tremendous significance. And right now, most of them are not happening because of the COVID virus. And I have a friend, her name is Minerva Blacksmith. I knew her years ago. She told me a story once, she's Lakota, about her grandfather, who, when that ceremony was outlawed, danced alone for years, every year, so that he did not allow the continuity of these ceremonies, which must always take place no matter what. He danced alone, even though it was at risk for his life. And after a few years, other men would come and stay up in the hills around him and watch over him and protect him. But he could not allow those ceremonies not to happen. So I believe that on Turtle Island, and I don't know where else, the Sundance ceremony is still happening, but it's quiet. It's taking place because we cannot let it break. We cannot let that feather fall. And so we ended up on one of the reservations in the Dakotas, dancing, and the power of that dance, knowing why we were dancing and what the purpose of it was, and to see the people who were also there, who had made that commitment, it was just really beautiful and powerful. And I'm grateful for that. I'm truly grateful. So in the 1800s, my husband, Brad Walking Bear Stanton, his tribe was met with a very interesting situation. He's a direct descendant of Massasoit, who's one of the two chiefs that met the Mayflower when the Pilgrims got off at the beach. And yet in the 1800s, they decided, the federal government detribalized the Narragansett based on the fact that they had so much other blood because they had taken in slaves and other things who ran away from the South, that they were no longer Indians. And so they took away their tribal status and detribalized them. In the 1970s, they were retribalized. They were given back their federal recognition as a Native American Indian tribe based on the fact that they never stopped doing their ceremonies, even when they were told they were no longer Indians. So I encourage each of you to look into your heart, look into your own ancestry, whether you're from Scotland, whether you're from Japan, whether you're from Italy, wherever you are. What is your ceremony? What is your tribal makeup? What are your stories? What did your grandmother tell you? What medicines did she give you when you were little that you couldn't get at Walgreens? What were the things that you were taught? Because I will tell you something that I fully believe with all my heart. I understand that I'm speaking to a lot of people here who are scientists. I have had the absolute blessing in my lifetime of being able to watch science and spirituality come together. I'm able to see where our Native Indigenous knowledge, our stories, our understandings of the stars, our understandings of quantum physics, our understanding of the microbial life upon the earth and our place in that whole chain of the great tree of life come together with what science now is proving as fact. I challenge us to look at the Mayan calendar, a record of 26 trillion years, and think about that with the law of quantum physics. It's actually a map, a roadmap of the universe, and it takes us to where God lives. I challenge us to look at the different star nations, the Pleiades, the Arcturians, the others. Where did we come from? Who are we? We're one family, but we had so many journeys along the way already, and we have many more to go. And so this opportunity that we now have to come together, sit with the grandmothers. I'll tell you what, you're gonna laugh, you're gonna cry, you're gonna learn, you're gonna do all this stuff, but you will find the truth. Find the truth, because we have responsibility now. We get it. We had our young years. We were pretty crazy. I know this for a fact. We were pretty crazy and wild. But we're here now and we're ready. We're pulling up our socks, right, Renee? We're pulling up our socks. So you guys got to do this too. We're all in this together. And yes, it's chaotic out there, but chaos precedes change. We know this. Anyone who has ever labored on a table and given birth knows it is not easy and it's truly not fun. I don't recall doing a lot of laughing, but I'll tell you what, the beautiful stretching of your heart that takes place. My daughter, when she was giving birth to her second child, I saw her tears. And I'm at first thinking, oh, poor thing, yeah, I know how bad that hurts. And then I looked and I realized they were another kind of tear. And I said, what's wrong? Why are you crying? And she looked at me and she said, Mom, I don't know if I can love this new baby as much as I love my first baby. I don't know if I have enough love to do that. And I said, oh no, your heart will stretch. And it does. And it's the same thing with grandmothers. We reach a point, and it has to do with the place where we realize that we are willing to lay down our life for the future generations. We reach a place where everyone is our grandchild. Everyone, even this Willie over here, you ask him, even with his, look at his white beard, he's still my grandson. I nag him, I tell him what to do, I do all this stuff, but I love him and I want him to become everything that he is. Everything that he already is, but everything else that he can become. And it's the same for each of you. I can speak for my two sisters. in saying that there isn't anyone in this call that we do not love, that we do not pray for and wish for you to become everything that you are and everything you ever can become. Paola, sitting there behind her, in front of her beautiful spider web, I met her up in the mountains of the Sierra Madre de Marta, up, is that how we say it? Santa de Marta. I don't know, I never get it right. Up above Bogota, up 15,000 feet. I watched this beautiful woman sitting there in her beautiful meditative pose, just bringing it all together on the inside of her for the sake of her sons at home and for all of us and for everyone here on this call and everyone in her different organizations. All of this, we're all working together for that purpose. And that's why we need ceremony. So whatever your ceremonies are, and you're allowed to use ours, you're allowed to use anybody's ceremonies, but the most important one is to find your own. From the time the sun comes up in the morning, that is the beginning of your first ceremony. We call that long red line out there on the horizon the eastern door, because as the sun comes up, that door opens. All of those spirits who are here in the nighttime doing their work in the darkness, they get to leave and go home. And all of those of us who wake up in our beds, we get to have the work for the day, doing it underneath the sunshine. So we can do this. This is a ceremony. Our breath is a ceremony, from the breath in to the breath out, and that moment of stillness between the two. That is the most powerful ceremonial place where we connect to all life in every universe, in every star system. These ceremonies are so simple, and yet they're so profound. We had one year, we went to the United Nations, one of our grandmothers brought these little tiny pouches that she made, she and her daughters, and inside there was a little piece of cloth, there was a little bit of tobacco, there was a little, I think a little crystal, and she gave them out to everybody. And what it is, you carry this in your purse or in your pocket. It's called an altar at the drop of a cloth. And you open it up, you put the little cloth down, if it's on a rock or beside you in the car or on a piece of wood, it doesn't matter where you are on your desk. And if you're having a hard time, right there you create your altar, this tiny little thing, and you call in that energy of spirit, and you call in your own heart, and you call in your ancestors, and you call in love. And in doing that, you can change everything. That is the law of quantum physics. I don't know how it all works, but I know it is. So anyway, I don't know how much time that I have left, but I do want to, I want to add one more thing. Right now, we are living in a time of balance. Excuse me. We're pulling everything together in balance because it seems that the chaos is taking it out, but it is not. Chaos is as much a part of growth, as we said, as everything. But the big one now is the masculine feminine. We need to bring each other together. We need to recognize the fact that our men stepped aside so that we women could step up again to the plate, so that we could remember who we are and become all we are. Now it's our turn too, because the men are wounded. They're carrying this wound. They've been carrying it for generations, because at the time of the witch burnings, the men were there. There weren't just people doing bad things. There were people loving those women. They weren't witches. They were medicine women. They were carrying the medicines for the people. But their sons were there. Their brothers were there. Their husbands were there, and they were suffering. And at the last minute, the woman would transfer her medicine to that man. And he has carried it now for generations and generations. For us here on Turtle Island, North America, when the Mayflower sailed in, the women were carrying the medicine. It was the women that were the tribal medicine people. They gifted it to the men. The men took it from them to protect them. And now it's time for that medicine to be coming back. So from all these different walks, all these different ways of doing this, the men and the women must come together again. And they must share this power together of healing on behalf of the Mokopuna, on behalf of the future generations. So we are here to do that for each other. So it's not easy, because we're trying to now, in a place where we are, the women are being called to heal themselves, and as we do, we heal 7 generations back. It's the same with the men. We're helping them by doing the same thing. So this is our opportunity. We're here to help each other. to lift and grow and to become all that we need to do in that healing place. And we do it with ceremony, and we do it with science, and we do it as they come together with that beautiful spider web behind Paola. We see how the universe actually works. Nothing is without connection, not one of us. We are all connected. Ahomi takuyasi. We are one relative. We are all one family. So as we go through these hard times, it's important that we remember who we are and that we remember who each other are. So thank you so much, mahalo nui loa. I am so grateful to be able to say my words, aloha ke akua kuleana, with the breath of my life. I thank you for everything, mahalo.
And thank you very much, Grandmother Susan, for your beautiful words and also for encouragement that we are still on time to be together and know who we are. And it's very encouraging because you've been through a lot in your life, finding who you are, your ancestor, but you did it. So we can all do it. And there were some questions, and one question I feel like Grandmother Susan, you have already answered. How can Indigenous people work together with scientists and the one who are trying to save the planet with science? How can we all be together and in changing what is going on? And I feel there is an openness from Indigenous people to do that. So it's just a question of maybe creating more of these webinars where there is more of a dialogue, and then we'll become just one family and we don't feel anymore the separation. And we had one question, and how we can help in this time that are so challenging, our loved ones, our families, our friends who are going through a lot. What is your word of wisdom? How can we support them in the journey? I don't know which one of you grandmothers want to answer this question. And maybe how do we support also ourselves? Because my understanding that if you're not whole, you cannot help others. Grandmother Renee, you have to unmute yourself, please.
There. Well, you know, when you change your mind, having a good mind, everyone is in that dark place, sad place. One of the things is how I was taught was change that. Learn how to say thank you. Give thanks for your eyesight. Give thanks for your hearing. Give thanks that the sun has risen. Give thanks that the bees are still buzzing. Give thanks that the grass is. And give thanks for the water that is still here. And so when you keep giving thanks, it takes away the clouds that's in our heart, in our minds and in our hearts. Give thanks for your ability to look and see and hear. Give thanks that there's no wars that's happening in your community. Give thanks that you're able to have a drink. You're able to have a bed to sleep in. Give thanks that you have so much more than you realize. So when you start being thankful, you're removing a lot of the fears. That's what I was told.
Thank you, Grandmother Renee. Very beautiful. Another question we have: what can we do to move from our society full of shadows and negativeness, where basically mourning is the first things we do when we get up, instead of doing the thank you and the prayers? how we can move our mind back into our heart, so we create also balance in ourselves. Who wants to answer that?
I
Mother?
will. I'd like to speak just a minute to that and then turn it to Raina. I think that it's really important. I used to work in my young years, I worked for a Hasidic rabbi, which is very rare because I'm not Jewish, but they really desperately needed a babysitter. And so I got to go and stay for a little while. I'd come in the mornings while the mom she had to go teach school. And they had a little baby. And I noticed one morning when I was there that there was a little silver basin under the bed. And so I asked the mom about it when she came back home. And she told me that every morning before the family got up, she would get up first. And she would warm the water on the stove. And she would bring a pitcher and she would pour it into each silver basin under the bed of each person and wash their feet before they put their feet on the floor in the morning. And the reason for that was that they would leave behind everything that they didn't need to bring into their new day. And I thought about that and I thought, wow. So all my life since then, I don't do the silver basin, but I do my washing. When I first opened my eyes, I acknowledge that I'm grateful for having been able to wake up. And then from there, I take it from there and I go all the way down my body and I just wash all the things that I didn't need to bring from the day before and leave it all behind. And you can shake your hands and shake just little things. That's that little ceremony part. But I also would like to just throw out one more thing because I keep looking at that beautiful spider web behind Paola. And I want to say this, that, you know, where we're asking about how can we help each other, every single one of us on this call is now connected. We're connected by the sound of our voice. We're connected by the visual. We're connected through the internet. But as our prophecy about the World Wide Web, it wasn't just the internet, because we know that one day we're not going to have this anymore. It's going to go down for whatever reasons. I don't know what it'll be, but it's not going to be here forever. And guess what? The neural pathways have been created. We are already connected. And I learned early on the truth about Facebook, and I don't really like it, but I decided since I can't get off it, I better use it to the right way. So we have thousands and thousands and thousands of grandmothers that we're connected to on Facebook. Sometimes I'll wake up in the morning and I'll be exhausted and I'll think, man, I should have got dressed for work before I went to bed. I felt like I've been working all night. And then I'll get these little messages on Facebook. Thank you for coming into my dream. Thank you for protecting me. Thank you for giving me this idea. Thank you for telling me a story. I didn't know I did all that, but I know I'm tired, so I must have. We are already connecting with each other in this very beautiful way. And so if you feel that you're getting a negative thought, end it right there with you. Don't allow it to continue on the web. Shoo it away. Thought be gone. Send it love. You know, if you have an enemy, this was a big one for me. I was really mad at somebody once, and this grandmother said to me, put that person in a blue bubble of light, wish them everything you ever wanted for yourself, and send them away. And I thought, wait a minute, I want to beat them up. I don't want to put them in a blue bubble and do anything nice to them. And I did it. And guess what? I wasn't mad at them anymore. We have the power to change the entire world. We really do. So that's my thought. I love you. I love you, Spiderweb.
Thank you, Grandmother Susan, and we do love you. I have a question, because often as women in our society, we have to behave like men. And then we forget how to be women in the two powers. We forget our feminine because we think that it needs to be strong. We need to be like the man. And that also has created imbalance for the women and also for the future grandmother. So my question is to Grandmother Raina, how do we balance that? How do we help our feminine to come fully into power?
Wow. Firstly, by acknowledging that we have what we call a taha wahine and a taha tāne. Everybody has a masculine side and a feminine side. So we have to think that, because we're so ingrained to grow up and be strong and be tough, and men are so brainwashed that, you know, cowboys don't cry, you've got to be strong, you've got to be in control. But we have to replace within each individual on this planet that we have a soft side and we have a protective side. Just like we have a left side of our brain and our right side of our brain. And that's a whole new teaching game for many, many people. So I don't have a story like Susan to tell you about that, but that's part of the work that we do here, is by ko te tū tama tāne, ko te tū tama wahine. So just to remind our men folk that they have within them, in every cell of their body, within every atom of every cell in their body, there's a gentleness and there's a protectiveness.
That's right.
That's it in a nutshell. Kia ora.
Thank you, Grandmother Tehaina. Also, the question earlier on was, how do we connect to the moon, to Mother Moon? And I guess, how do we connect with nature? We are nature, but how do we connect with all the other beings outside of our body that we call nature? How we truly do that? Grandmother Renee, please.
Well, I hope we got more series of presentation, because to teach about the moon, it is it has to start with creation. And know that 3 days before the changing of each moon, there is a lot of emotions. It's like she's pulling it from you, because you haven't released. You haven't gotten rid of a lot of hurt, anger, and all those pain. And so 3 days, this is why Grandma loves you so much. She doesn't want you to carry all that unhealthiness so that you will end up being sick. This is why we have cancer. This is why we have a lot of health problems, diabetes, everything is because we're carrying too much trauma. And this goes back to our creation story. Our grandmother Moon, she was a woman that had experienced life, and because of that, she was now asked that she could watch her coming faces to all the children, and so watch over them. And so this is what her sons had done, grandsons, was put her back into the sky world. And so every month she is supporting us. So if you're feeling weepy, you're feeling all these emotions like this, it's because she's going like this. Come on, you haven't got rid of that. Come on. And it's just like she comes 4 times because you're stubborn. So she has to come at that full, the first quarter she'll pull some. Then it becomes the full moon. That's when Grandma steps in, full force. Come on. This is why there's a lot of chaos in all the world. This is why wars started. This is why wars start within ourselves, with everyone else. And then comes the last quarter. There's much teaching. In fact, I was teaching my young ceremonial brother last night about doing things with the moon, getting back in touch with the moon. And so this is what that green came about, was the top is the sky world. People call them aliens. We have always known that we came from the sky world. The bottom, the next row, is of the moons. The grandmother is always watching over us. And so you see, she's telling us that we need to take care. And that bottom line is the water that is in us. Because when we disrupt the water, there is wars within ourselves and with others. So that's why she comes 3 days before, is to pull all that grieving from you. Then 3 days after, it's just like we're going to be Hawaiian. We're learning how to ride those waves. So this is what I recommend for schools. I work with a lot of health organizations, and I said you're going to have a large amount of clients coming in 3 days before, because they're going to have everything that's wrong with them. It starts because their mind is troubled. And so if their mind's troubled, then they're going to have a lot of sickness. They're going to have a lot of pain. So I work with the diabetes. It's called IDHC. And so what we have done is put a lot of culture into the understanding why you're in pain, why you're having all these things. And so right now I have, because of a dream, I've developed a curriculum. It's called the 13 Grandmother Moon. And so everything that relates to our pains has connected with being out of balance. We want to control. The moon time was given to us to have, the women was to have time out because of the burden that we were carrying. And so there's a lot more, but I just give you this much to know that 3 days after, you're going to have to get ready for the next 3 days of chaos. So you're always, we had originally called it Indian time, because it was always being prepared for that next hurdle, that next journey. And so because you've had a life experience, what happened in those 3 days, you're going to say, I'm going to be careful now. I'm not going to go that way. You're going to have eating habits that's going to be disrupting to your body. There's a lot of addiction as a result of our foods, because we're not eating the right foods, the foods that we're supposed to be eating when the changing of the moon. We're not eating according to the universe, the flow of the universe. And so there's a lot more, but I don't have all that time. So just enough to share with you how to go with the flow. Be flexible.
Thank you very much, Grandmother Renee. I could listen to all of you for forever. I don't need to sleep when I'm listening to your beautiful hearts. The time is running out for us today, so I have the last question is, give us a phrase, a line, a message from your heart to us before we say bye for the time being until we meet again somewhere. So if each of you, Grandmother, can give us a personal message to all of us, please. Grandmother Renee, you be the...
Well, the most important message is self-care. That's what the moon, that's what all the universe is all about. That's what the trees, the plants, the birds, they sing to us to help us to remember. Even the dirt, even the soil, all those, if you ever need reassurance of belonging, all you have to do is take your shoes off and feel that earth, and that's self-care, taking time. Most of all, you need to play, because that restores your spirit. So grandmas always say, go outside and play. If you were upset, go outside and play, because that was a way that we didn't need medicines, aspirins. But today, children don't do that. And so they take chemicals when they're supposed to be with all the doctors of the world. The tree, the butterflies, all those are our doctors and our healers. So take time to play. Thank you.
Thank you, Grandmother Renee. Grandmother Raina, what is a message to all of us from your heart, please?
Or from my heart. From my head first is, if it is to be, it's up to me. It's my proverb. You win or lose by what you choose. So we're in a time now where we need to choose wisely and take ownership for every choice we make. We're so conditioned to blame everybody else, but at the end of the day, you win or lose by what you choose. And a Māori whakaaro about that is ko au te awa, ko te awa ko au. I am the river is me. Meaning, we are one. That's it. Kia ora, everybody.
Thank you, Grandmother Raina. And Grandmother Susan, what do you say?
Mine is very short. Remember who you are. Remember who you are. Remember who you are. You are created in the image of God. Everything that you are, everything that you ever will become is already yours. You just have to remember who you are.
And thank you very much, Grandmother Susan, and thank you very much. Deep gratitude to you, Grandmother, who found the time to be with us today. Gratitude to everyone who came here, because you also took the time to listen to some most amazing wisdom and hearts, and you were called to do that. And I'm sure the Creator, Mother Earth, God, whoever you believe in it, has told you to come here today. I feel it. And gratitude to the internet and to Zoom, who allowed us to be together. And I feel this could be the first of maybe several conversations we can have in the future, and being together as this beautiful group of people of the People Project is doing something incredible with also young people from different parts of the world. And I feel we can truly co-create something special as we're now together, one relation, one family in oneness. So really, thank you very much to everyone, and to the Creator, and to the moon, and to the sun, and Mother Earth. Thank you.
Paola.
Thank you, Yael.
Thank you, Paola. Thank you, grandmothers.
I feel it's time to say goodbye, because everyone either needs to get going with the day, like Grandmother Raina in Aotearoa, or our beautiful grandmothers are in North America, and maybe some of us have to prepare the dinner for our children, our friends, our family, wherever we are. So a big thank you to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Paola.
And
this, everybody.
And this webinar will be posted on YouTube, so please share it with as many people as possible, because the grandmother messages, hearts, and wisdom have to travel to as many places as possible, as far away, because I feel today's webinar has a ripple